Let's start with today's session.
Yeah, sure.
So, okay, let us go back to DVWA and we'll continue from where we left off.
Okay.
So, did you try to get some hands-on practice with this stuff?
Haven't. Actually haven't. I've been doing something else,
Okay.
working on some other projects at the moment. So haven't hands on yet.
My screen is visible.
Sorry?
My screen is visible to you.
Yeah, able to see.
Okay. So we'll just start these two services and then we'll be able to use DVWA. Okay. So we are in the middle of this DOM exercise. And we had seen how to do it in the lower level.
Yes.
What will happen if I get a script tag here is this kind of thing is not going to work. Okay, it's not going to work in this case because we've added a whitelist already. Okay, so only they are only going to accept these four languages, these four options. So a way to get around this is that I can insert this hash. Basically, what this does is this hash it comments out the rest of the part. So whatever I write after this, if I can write whatever gibberish I want, I can write whatever I want. This does not get sent to the web server. This is not going to the server.
Okay.
If I'm writing some JavaScript code or anything after this hash, then this is just going to be used in the browser. It is not going to be sent to the server. Anything that's before this, only this part is sent. Anything after that is not going to be sent. So if I do this and now I insert some script tag, let's say this one again. Just so I can simply this. Do each session. I just come back here again and I click on select this and widget. Okay. So it switches to default English and is this going to work? Yes, I want it. is I'm not inserting this. So instead of this, let's just craft it again. If I choose this, let's see. Let me try another instance. There's some error with this one because this should work. It does work and it has worked a lot of times before. So the default is equal to English. And after this, we can, okay, so this is the URL in the code version of this code. This is also not working correctly. Okay, so I changed the value, I simply did nothing else. And now this part is working.
Okay.
Let's see what happens when I change it back again. Okay, it works again. So since we had inserted this code, after the hash, it did not get sent to the server, but it got used while it was being rendered. The server was displaying to you. So it ran this piece of JavaScript code and performed the cross-site scripting. So if you want to take advantage of an attack like this, send a link like this to someone, and I mean, of course, you could get some information like a cookie or some other session details about them, and you would use that to your advantage. You hijack their session. So this is how cross-site scripting is, working. And okay, I think we also had to see CSP bypass yet. So CSP is simply content security policy, and that is responsible for simply allowing what sources the website or the web page is used to load content from. So that is what it does basically. And for all of these different vulnerabilities that we see, there's the view source option that we have, and we also have the view help. So let's say you come to CSP bypass and you're trying to solve it, but you are not able to get past it. So you can simply click on view help and you to see it. And since this DVWA is purely made for educational purposes, so it's meant to teach you. So then it's going to show you what you need to do. Okay, so they have marked these as spoilers, so you directly access them when you do this. And I'm going to need my verb suit here. I click on this. This is the request that's being executed. Not executed, this is the request that is originating from the browser. And you can see this. Take a look at the URL, what URL it is sending the request to. So, at the end of the URL, there's this parameter for callback. Callback is equal to solve sum. So what we can do is we can try to insert our own code here. Let's try. So we inserted a JavaScript and we ran that instead of what the callback function was. So we were able to bypass the CSP headers by simply modifying the request itself in this case. And when we clicked on that link, it was sending a callback to a JavaScript page. Instead of that, we did to our own script. We didn't direct it to anything, instead of our own script. And that is running, simply said alert 1, and so that is running here. So this is a way to bypass CSP. Now let's go to JavaScript. Okay, we need to disable this to low security level. Click on submit. Okay, so this is a JavaScript attack now, and as we know, JavaScript, what it does, it's define some kind of behavior or some kind of interaction on the web page. Now it says submit the word success to win. So if I write simply success here and click on submit, then it's not going to work. It's saying invalid token. If I now intercept this using verb, click on submit right now, what I am able to see is, okay, there's this is the request, and there is a phrase that is being used in the input field, and this is the token that is also being sent with the phrase. So we need to find out how this token is being generated, what kind of JavaScript is running, and how it's generating this token. So let's simply turn this off, and I'm going to go to the developer tools by clicking on F12 and I'll go to debugger. This is not the one. I think the script is in the page itself. Okay, so I will click on view page source. And we can see that there is a script being used here. This is the script. And this is being used to generate a token based on whatever the value of the phrase is. So see here is doing variable, it's storing a variable named phrase and it's getting the value of that from the phrase part. So this is the input phrase and the value by default is change me. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to write success here. So currently the value of the phrase is success. I'm going to come to my console and I will be running the generate token function. So the function is run and this undefined means that it hasn't given us any output. Now from here, from the page source, we can see that the name of the token variable is simply token. The token element. And now we need to find out what the value of that is. So, okay, we don't even need to find out the value. We've simply generated it. But in case I want to find the value, I can use dot get element by ID. So this is the token element. This is the current value. So if I click on submit now, then it tells me well done. So what I needed to do was, after entering the phrase, I needed to run the JavaScript function to generate the token. But generating the token at the time of loading the page, and it was generating it for change me, not for success. But if I run it again, it's now going to, the function is going to run again. It's going to generate it for this value, and I click on submit, and it says well done. Okay. So now I can see, I can change security level to medium. See what's happening now. And let's see what the token is. Okay, so when we submit at this time, let's see the values now. So the phrase is change me, and the token is this value. So if you look at it closely, can you tell me what is happening here? How it's generating this token?
It's sending this phrase to be submitted. Is that correct?
It's a phrase, but see, some JavaScript is running, some JavaScript code is running, right? And based on the value of the phrase, it is generating a token.
Okay.
So if the phrase is changed, yes, I didn't actually change this phrase. I just wanted to see the request. I wanted to see the token value. So the phrase is change me, and the token is this. So can you see how it's deriving this token, or whatever JavaScript function is running, what it is doing to get this from this phrase? Look at the token.
Change me.
Yeah,
So that token is sending a phrase to change me. Am I correct?
the phrase is changing. Okay, phrase is simply this value, whatever is in the input field. Okay,
Oh, okay, okay, okay.
and based on that value, a JavaScript function is running. We don't know what that function is, what it's doing, but it's generating a token, just like it was doing previously. And can you see this token and tell me what is happening here, like how it's generating or what it's doing to generate this token?
So please. No, I can't recall.
Okay, so just a moment. Uh, See, the phrase is change me. Okay, see C capital, this is M capital, the rest
Okay,
is
that one
lowercase.
that one is unclear. But what is this after token? XXEMEH something.
Yeah, I'm telling you about that. See, uh, what it's doing is simply it's taking the phrase. Okay,
Okay.
it's reversing it. If
Hmm.
you read this backwards, this is change me. Okay, CHANGEME. So it's simply
Oh,
reversing it and adding access to X to the front and to the back of that, and that is how it's simply generating the token. Okay,
okay, okay,
so whatever value will be used in phrase, the token will be generated similarly. So if I simply do, simply write success here and change the value of the token. So I'd simply change the text here. This should be the token if I'm using the phrase success, right?
yes.
So now what I can do is, what happens now? So it's been saying invalid token. Maybe we made some mistake. Let's try once again. So now it's saying well done. So that is simply what needed to do in this case. Okay, so this is simply shown how JavaScript works and how you can make use of JavaScript codes or something to, you know, to get around stuff, or to change values, or to figure out what kind of functions are being performed by that JavaScript.
Mm-hmm.
bypass some limitations by modifying some values or by manipulating the code, how it's running, what values it's running on. Okay, so now we're going to take a look at SQL injection. So are you familiar with SQL at all? Like, have you ever worked using SQL or used SQL at all?
Uh, Used a few times, like minor tasks such as doing some inquiry and do some minor changes for the table and execute this kind of thing. Not like a very big kind of all rounder on SQL yet.
Okay. So what we can do is
Usually,
we can
usually my contact centers a few database after call database will come under SQL, so we will have to do some from manual commands to run something. So that kind of work, yeah, been done.
okay. So see what we can do is we can do a simple we'll just go over once how SQL works and how SQL queries work. So I'm just going to change the share into another window. Okay, so can you see this now? My screen.
Okay, yes, clear.
Website skilltest.net, and we'll use this to see how SQL queries work. So SQL is basically, as you know, it's used to interact with databases, used to create databases, query data, delete data, insert data, whatever you want to. If you're working with database, you need SQL, right?
Yes.
So, so this is the databases that they have created. Then they have inserted some values into the database. And okay, so let's say MySQL. So simply, if I want to see all the data from a particular table, I can simply use select star from and the table name. Okay.
Okay.
So, and what that will do is simply, if I execute this, then there's just one row in the entire table. That is the result I'm going to see. So, when you log into a website, so what happens there is an SQL query running in the backend, or when you click on log, it's going to do something like select star from, let's say, users, where username is equal to, and it will have a value for the username here. So something like this, and password is equal to, so it will be something like this, the underlying query. Okay. So
Yeah.
what happens is that we can use this to our advantage as an attacker. I can use this thing to my advantage. Now, when a developer writes this query in a website, so they expect that whenever this will run, it is only going to return a single result. Okay, so yeah, you'll be providing a username and you'll be providing a password, and if that matches, So that user will be selected and will be logged in with that username. So that is the expected result from this. But what they don't take into account is that the way the query works, the way it is written, it can be used to get other data as well. That this query can be manipulated, and we could get everything from this particular table. We can bypass these conditions. Okay, so let's go back to our DVWA, and we are going to try to see that. So okay, is this visible now, the DVWA screen?
Yeah.
Okay, so see, the SQL injection vulnerability is asking us for a user ID. So just specify some value. Now I'm not doing any injection currently, I just want to check something. Okay, so what it's doing is it's simply inserting the ID into the query here. Now that ID doesn't really match any user, so it's not going to return anything. Let's say I enter the user ID 1 and I click on submit. So it will give me the
Yeah.
ID, first name, and the surname. If I enter ID 5, same thing. It's going to give me ID, first name, and surname. Now the first thing to do is, like I showed you earlier, there's a whenever they ask for a parameter that starts and ends with a single quote on the back end. You won't see this on the front where you're interacting with it. There are single quotes being used for the variables. So you can simply test for an SQL injection using a single quote in place of the ID. So let's see what happens when you submit this single quote. Okay, so you get this. You have an error in your SQL syntax. So now when we talk about SQL injection, we have three different types of SQL injections mainly. The first kind is error-based SQL injection, and the basic premise of that is you try using various commands, you try using various kinds of queries, and the error that you see, you'll find information from that. You use that information to mount your attacks, to further change your queries and run your attacks using those errors. So if you're using error-based SQL injection, you need to look at what kind of errors you're getting. Okay.
Yep.
The next kind is union-based SQL injection. Next, there is a union query which combines the results of two different select statements. So you can do select star from users union select star from maybe the same some other column. It doesn't necessarily have to be star. Star means everything. You could specify some particular column and you could combine those with either results from another table or results from the same table, but you need to keep in mind that if you're using a union query, the number of columns should be same in both the results and the types should match. Like you can't do like one type would be an integer and the corresponding would be a string. That would not run. We'll see more on how that works as well. So you just need to understand right now that that's also another kind of SQL injection, and that would come under this error based itself. So okay, the second big category is blind SQL injection. So currently what we're doing is we use and we got some results, we got some errors. In a blind SQL injection, it's called blind because we won't be able to see the result of our SQL injection or on the screen. So now I did the same thing. I used a single. Now this would also, actually what happens is we should be getting an error, but it's not showing us any errors. It's only saying that it did not find that ID that is missing from the database. So in this case, We are not able to know whether SQL injection is working in this case or it's not working. So for this, you need to apply a separate approach, and we'll come to that as well. First, let's just see how we can normally perform SQL injection using error-based. So if I do this, I click on submit, I can see that there's an error. So I know that there's a possibility of error-based injection here. So what I'm going to try is, see, according to what you told me, your previous trainer had covered topics like and or operators and how they work, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So in a query, if I want, I can make use of and or as well. So I can simply write user ID, let's say, where user ID is 1 or 1 equal to 1. And if I'm writing or, then that means that it can either compare the user ID or it can, check my second statement. So if either of those is true, then it will return that user ID. Now, as specified, 1 is equal to 1. So 1 is equal to 1 will always be true because 1 is always equal to 1. Okay. So
Yep.
1 is equal to 1 will always be true. So no matter what happens in the first query, the second part of the where clause, the second statement 1 is equal to 1, this will always going to be true. So this will execute, so this will, be true for every case. It will check, if I say a particular user ID, it will first compare this for every user ID value in the database, in the table. And if that condition is true, then of course it will display that, or we specified that, or you can also use this condition. So either that or this, and this is always going to be true. So what we are going to get is, we are going to get all the rows, all the data from the table. I click on submit. Okay, I know that there's an error in the syntax. Now what is happening in this case, this entire thing, after taking this entire thing, it's adding this at the end, the single quote at the end, so that it cannot process. So what we need to do is, we need to tell it to comment out. Okay, if I use this double hyphen, that means everything that comes after this is a comment. Click on submit now. Okay, same thing. So yeah, after this you need to always use a space. So okay, so now what happened is, it gave us everything, it returned everything that was a part of the table. Every single piece of data in the table has been returned to us now. So it had five different five different names in the table, and it returned all of those. Okay, so this is where our SQL injection worked. I can show you soon, so it will become easier to understand what I'm talking about. So this is the query that is running in the background. Okay, take a look at this properly. This is the query that is running in the background, and what is happening is, the input that we are given in this case is 1 single quote or 1 is equal to 1, and we are commenting the rest of it. So this query, this becomes your ID is equal to 1 or 1 is equal to, okay, so wait, let me paste it again, 1 or 1 equal to 1, and we are commenting out. Anything else left after this? is semicolon. So semicolon are used at the end. So we are commenting out that semicolon now. So this is being ignored. This is being ignored, and there is another single quote at the end of that statement. This is also this. So both of these are being ignored basically. So this is the statement that's running now when giving it this input. First last time from users where user ID is equal to 1. We specified a single quote here to end this input to tell it that okay, this is the input that you're getting where user ID equal to 1 or 1 equal to 1. So it will display that data. It will select the first name and last name if the user ID is 1 or this condition is true or 1 is equal to 1. So it display the data in every case. Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
So, and we are commenting the rest of it out. So the semicolon and the single quote at the end of the query, we have commented that out. If we don't do that, then our queries are not going to work. So, and there's a lot of other stuff you can do. So, what I can do is in the user ID, again I'm going to do, I can simply leave it blank. I don't even have to use 1 blank or 1 equal to 1. Submit. So that will work as well. I can also do, I can simply use this. I can end this query right here and I can tell it to select star from users. So I can basically insert a second query here. Okay, there's another error that we are getting. Let's see what that is. Let's see what the error is. This is not working in this case. In case query chaining doesn't work, we can try using something like the union-based Sql injection that I talked about. So I can try to do a close the statement using the single quote and then union select another select statement, name, password from users. I can try to run this. Unknown column, username in field list. So this is an error that we're getting. Okay, so and these errors are useful because they tell us what we are doing wrong. So I do select, you know, I don't know the name of the column, I can simply do select one and password. So we're able to get the passwords in this case. Actually, this is not the exact password, this is the password hash. So, okay, let me see why that previous statement wasn't working. And whenever you don't, know what the column names are, you can simply use 1, 2 in place of that. So 1, union. You can try doing select star, but that's not mostly going to work because it says that the use select statements have a different number of columns. You only get at a time. You know that the original statement is only using 2 columns. Try using select 1, 2. And you can try to enumerate different, you can try different values here. Let's say try until you find out what you're looking for. Okay, so instead of username, the value was users. So now I'm getting it. So this is the admin, and this is the password hash for admin. This is the second user, Gordon B, and this is the password hash. Now what I can do with this information is I can simply copy this hash, use sort of like hash identifier. It's saying that this is probably MD5, hash MD5. So what I can do is there's a lot of MD5 decoders, but first use that there has to be in that database. If it's there, then we'll be able to crack. Let's try and decode this hash. Okay, so it's found the password corresponding to this hash. That password is ABC123. Okay, so from the hash, we were able to find out the password. So we used Sql Injection to find out a login name and a password of a user. I can do the same thing for the admin. Use this. We kept it here. And the password that is the default user. So are you able to, were you able to understand what we've been doing here and what kind of information we can extract from a database using this? Hello, Prakash. Hello. I can't hear you. Anything that you're saying. Hello. Okay, so Prakash, what we're going to do is we're going to continue on this in our next session. Okay, so I'm going to stop sharing this now. Okay then. I'll see you tomorrow. Okay.